At this particular point, I have, oh, we are working on the Simplicity, I think it's 8532. It's sewing room accessories. This is a sewing machine mat and sewing machine cover in one with a pocket on the front. So I went around and put the flange edge, which is what I wanted to do. They suggest that their pattern said sew this right sides together. No, the pattern said sew this wrong sides together, right sides out. And then once that's all done, then go back and do a bias binding. I didn't want to do a bias binding. I'm tired of doing a bias binding. I wanted to do something different. So I created a flange edge, and I was in the middle of pinning all of that when we had our last biter episode, and I just went ahead and finished it. So I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. But I can't sew this yet because I have to make the 2 ties. I've already pressed them in between trying to keep the piece with the dogs. So it is a piece of fabric that is cut to, I think it was 1 inch. No, it looks like maybe, yep, right at 2. And you fold down the short edge and press it, and then you fold it in half and press it, and then you fold each side to that center fold, and you press again so that you have this. And now I'm going to sew them. And the way you sew these is I always start on the side that is folded because it helps if I can hold that edge flat and go down that edge, then I know that my folded together but not attached edges, the 2 folded edges, are going to basically be lined up where they're supposed to be. And then I go, well, I'll show you what I do. So I need to be right on the edge, and one way you can do it is put this is going to fit right underneath my foot, and I can move my needle over to that side. Because of its small width, this is probably the best way to do this. All right. Now I have not forgotten that I do need to sew the ends, but I want this stitched all the way down first. It makes it easier. And then stitch across, and then one more. There we go. Line that up. Now I only have to cut the thread on one end because I did it that way. And sometimes if you burnish, if you've got a little burnisher, you can do that too. But there's one tie made. And it's important that I do this. First responders. And I decided I don't want to run out of thread. More than anything else, I don't want to run out of thread. So I'm just going to use what I have. To me, it doesn't matter that on this side it's white and on this side it's blue. It's not like I'm using some glaringly awful thread that just doesn't match at all. So that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do is we're going to fold these in half. Okay. If I recall, We need this to be, I'll have to read the instructions because there's several different ways and I want to do it properly. Here are directions. Okay, so now what we do is we don't fold them in half. It kind of looks like we fold them in half, but we're not folding them in half. No. So, over the large dots and have the raw edges even, apply binding, which we're not doing because I've got the flange on. I want the raw edge. Oh, this is the scrap bag. I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's why that was confusing me. Okay, so at the dots, which means I need to get my pattern piece out. That's one of the things that I typically do. If I'm sewing something, and I don't feel like marking it at the, at the outset, then I'll take the pattern piece after I have cut everything out, put everything together like this with pins, and then I will take my pattern piece, and I'm going to flip this over this way because I'm on the wrong side of the fabric. Now I have two dots. I have a dot here and a dot here. Got this lined up. It's okay, Rue. And I'm going to take my chalk and mark right here. I'm making an X like right in the, in the center of that circle. Like that. Okay. I'm just trying to pay attention to what I'm doing. That's right. This would be on the inside. Okay, now we're only stitching one end. The other end will be free, and it needs to just kind of be in the inside here, out of the way of the sewing machine. Now, of course, if you're following the instructions, every single thing I'm doing is going to look horribly wrong because I'm working on the wrong side with the wrong side of the fabric showing, and the pattern is showing the right side because of the bias binding trim that they want this project to have. All right, now I'm shaking it because I want the tie to be out of the way of my sewing machine needle. I don't want it getting caught except on the one little edge there. Okay, and now I sew, but I have to leave an opening. So I'm going to decide probably, I don't want to do it on the end where the pocket is, and I like that, and I think I'll just stick a couple of pins, because what I have to do now is stitch these lines so that I actually have a pocket. Otherwise, when I flip this to the outside, this will just be one big pocket instead of two stitched pockets here. So I'm going to carefully slip this under here, and as you can see, this is the top of the flange, and I'm just going to stitch straight down this line that I created with a straight stitch. Oh, I've got to move my needle back to the center position. Okay. just going to carefully slide this over to the second line of stitching. And I don't really want that caught up underneath. There we go. Okay. And now I'll have to take a moment, Ivory, to re-pin the bottom edge down. There we go. We're going to have some singing. The dogs will be singing. Because they're dogs who like to sing. They sound like wolves. Sorry about this. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I don't know. They will continue singing because there are multiple sirens. Yep. Sorry about this. What? I'm just glad I warned you. We've been through this a couple of times today. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm housing wolves or something. My little one, he's hardly ever done it, but he was really getting into it earlier. Just belting out a beautiful, beautiful bass to go along with all the other silly sounds that we had. Okay, so now I have this where I need it to be. The thing is, I have to determine where I'm going to leave an opening from which to flip it to the proper side. And I think I'm going to do it right here. So I'm going to put a second pin right there and another pin, oops, right here, and that will help me remember. Okay, so I'm going to start here and sew all the way around and stop here. I'm not pulling, what I'm doing is pulling the extra fabric out. Sometimes it just does that. Okay, I'm coming up to another curve. And I'm going to go around it. And of course, if you're not sure, you know, where you are as far as your seam allowance goes, you can always mark it. Just take a piece of chalk or a pencil or anything and just mark it. It won't hurt anything. Pressure on the top of the fabric as the bottom of the fabric. What's going on out there, boo? What's happening out there? Everybody barking and carrying on silly? What? What is it, huh?